everyone, this video is going to show you how to fix and optimize your images for the web using Photoshop Elements. With Photoshop Elements, you can correct, crop, and watermark your images as well for a small one-time purchase of the software that has many of the features of the full version Photoshop without the recurring cost, and let's face it, features that you may never need. So optimizing images is a very important step for people who have a privately hosted WordPress site, because unlike Typepad, Blogger, or even WordPress.com, scaling your images for faster loading is entirely up to you and needs to be done before you upload. Those services do it for you. So you can get away with using Canva or something, or even uploading directly from your phone. But on privately hosted WordPress, even if you have a plugin that will scale your images, they're not going to do as good a job as you will. And then, of course, you can do it better because you can also take the moment to make that image look a little better, crop it, fix the color, watermark it, which depending upon what it is you're uploading, sometimes you're required to watermark it. And you can accomplish all of that before you even upload it. And of course, it'll look the best that it can. So let's get to it. Out of the box, do you open Photoshop Elements? This is the menu that you get. You're going to navigate to Photo Editor. When it opens for the first time, you're going to see three modes: Quick, Guided, and Expert. So we're going to be working in Expert mode, and the panel that I use the most here is the Layers panel. Okay, and then down here, there's tool options. If it's not open already, you'll see tool options, and these are the tools. This is the selection. The crop tool here is another selection, rectangular marquee, and these are enhancing images, and these are drawing images. So what we're going to do is start by opening the file that we're going to be using. So this is the image. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So go to File and Duplicate. I'm duplicating it because what I'm going to end up doing to it, it'll be optimized for the web. However, it won't print as well as it could print. So you don't want to mess with it. You want to optimize it for and watermark it and keep the original intact in case you change your mind. Now, let's talk about naming this file. Ideally, when you get to the point of editing the photo, you already have an idea of what your article is about, and you've decided on your keyword phrase. So what you name your image file that's uploaded is a very important piece of information for Google, and it's one of many. When you upload it, you'll be asked for an alternate image or image alt information, which is for accessibility and SEO. The description, which sometimes is used also for Pinterest, but gives more information to Google, or even the caption that you give along with it that will be in the article. But the name of the file is indexed by Google, and you want to match your keyword description or make it as descriptive as possible. So this is indexed along with people looking for this type of thing. So I know that my article is going to be a men's shirt card template. Whoops, card template. So while this is not necessarily the template, this is the final piece of that. This is what I want indexed because this is going to be what my article's about. So let's take the original and shut it down. I don't want to make any mistakes. So we're looking at this at 66%. So let's view this at actual pixels. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix the color on this. So enhance, I'm going to fix the color because normally I just have to kind of brighten it up and fix the contrast. But in this case, I had very low lighting. And so the whites here, well, this is vanilla, and these are ivory flowers, but this is still too yellow. So under Enhance, the first thing I'm going to do is adjust color, and I'm going to go to Hue and Saturation. I'm going to leave the hue alone because that will change the color, but I do want to desaturate it slightly. So I'm just going to get to the point where I've taken the yellow out of that. Now it's a little bit green, but fixing the brightness and contrast will help that. So I've taken it down to -27. If I want to undo that, I can hit cancel, I'm going to click OK. And then if you're ever not sure, go to Edit and do Undo. So you could see it and then redo. And you could see how it kind of took that yellow out of there. So I'm going to go back to Enhance, and I'm going to go to Lighting, and I'm going to go to Brightness and Contrast. So with Brightness and Contrast, I'm going to move that brightness up a little. Not a lot. Okay, and then with Contrast, in this case, I'm going to bump it up slightly. Okay, I'm just going to deepen those colors. Play with the contrast depending upon what you're photographing. Lowering the contrast might actually bring out detail, whereas making the contrast higher will not improve it. So in any case, improving or lowering and lowering and moving up the brightness and contrast will probably improve your photo. So I'm going to click OK. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rectangular marquee. I'm going to click somewhere on the screen, hold down my mouse, and draw a rectangle around this image. Now, kind of a good rule of thumb is to have an equal amount of distance from the edge to the edge. But I'm getting some of the flowers in here, and I am doing this off center because I want to drop a watermark in here. I don't want to crop this so close that the watermark is going to be on top of it. So I've defined the area that I want to crop. I'm going to go up to Image, and I'm going to crop. Depending upon the size of your photo, you may drop your watermark in and it shows up tiny. If it does, then you need to edit your image first. So maybe that's what we're going to do. I'm going to edit the size instead of watermarking it. So we're going to edit, or I'm sorry, we're going to go to Image, and we're going to go to Resize. I'm going to go to Image Size. My camera takes pictures at 72 pixels per inch, which is great, but your camera might take it at a larger size. It could be 190, it could be 300, it could be 600, depending upon how you had your resolution of your image being taken. So if it is not 72, now is the time to do that. But before you change that, you have to click Resample Image. And what it does is it turns off the editing of these values up here. We don't want to mess with these values. We're going to click in here and change the 300 or the 600 or the 192. You're going to change that to 72. And then when you're done doing that, you're going to turn back on Resample. Now you're going to change the width and the height. Because this is going to be an image for a blog post or page, I don't want this to be any wider than 6, 7, or 800 pixels wide. Now I know that I have a very small sidebar. I know that I can fit 800 pixels across. So I'm going to make it 800, and you'll notice that the height changes with it. This aspect ratio is locked. That is what the constrained proportions is for. If you uncheck that, any changes you make here will not affect the height, and you will skew your image. So everything looks good. We're not going to worry about document size. We do want to make sure resolution is set and that your width is not too small, but certainly not too large. We're going to click OK. So now it looks a little bit smaller, but it's still 800 pixels across is still pretty large. So now we're going to drop in a watermark. So I'm going to teach you a trick, and you only have to do this once. It's really cool. I'm going to go to the Move tool, and I'm going to, only because I don't want to select something and move stuff around. So I'm going to go to the Move tool, and then I'm going to open another file. I'm going to open my watermark. So this pulled it in at 268%. I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to view it at actual pixels. And then I'm going to go to Layer, and I'm going to flatten it. So now I see my image. It's no longer transparent. I can see it on white. And now I'm going to save this as a brush. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to define a brush. And I'm going to call that Stampin' Up! Watermark. Only I see the name of it. This is now a new brush in my brush palette. I'm going to close it, and I'm not going to save it. If I do save it, then I will have ruined a PNG file. It will no longer be transparent. So I'm going to take this, I'm actually going to pull this up a little because I'm going to show you how to grab that brush. Now I'm going to click on, in the draw panel, I'm going to click on brush, and now you see this brush, and I'm going to select it. I'm going to pull this down, and now you see there's an extra brush here. And when you hover over it, it pops up and says Stampin' Up! Watermark. I'm going to click on it. Now this is in my brush. You can see this watermark is on my brush. I'm going to go off the layer here. I'm going to get my mouse here back. I'm going to pull this back down. And I'm going to pull this back down. Okay, and I'm going to, I could change the color. So I have the brush selected, and I can make the color anything I want. I can make it black or white. Because this is a light background, I'm going to keep it black. And if I drop it on, it's going to drop it right on the image, and then I won't be able to really move it around. I want to be able to resize it and move it. So I'm going to come to my layers panel. If you do not have a layers panel open, there's nothing over here, click on layers. And then I'm going to click on this, to create a new layer. It's that first icon. With this layer selected, I'm going to go where I want to put it and click. Now see that I have the U, I have U stand for funds falling off the edge there. So I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to undo. I'm going to do this in the middle because I'm going to move this around. So I'm going to go to my select tool here, and you'll see, because this is selected, this layer, it's got these corner things. If you hover over the corner, you've got a couple of choices. You've got this arrow goes to the two-headed arrow. You're able to move this. I want to hit the X on that because I don't want to do it. But if you have the two-headed arrow that looks like the straight one, you can pull this down and pull it in and click the check mark, and then it's tough. You got to click on it and move it. And now you can see the important things are the images, copyright Stampin' Up! In this case. I want to move it down a little lower. It's tough to get into. It's tough to get a hold of that. Got to grab it somewhere on the words. Okay. But that's what's required. I'm going to click off of here, and that's fine. So now you have the layer with your watermark, and you have the layer that has your background. You can toggle this on and off. You can take this and select it and change the opacity if you want to lighten this up. Okay. Now you're done. The last thing you're going to want to do is to go to File, Save for the Web, and you can see a before and after. I have it set to JPEG. Your options are GIF, JPEG, and PNG file like 24. PNG files are only if you need a background to be transparent, and a GIF is only what I use with an animated image. So JPEG is your best choice and the best size that you're going to get. You can see this is before it's optimized. So right now it's 1.3 megabytes. And the JPEG that we're going to export at a quality of 40 is 77 kilobytes. A megabyte is 1,000 kilobytes. So that's 1,600 kilobytes versus 77 kilobytes with very little to no loss of image quality. So I'm going to save it exactly like that. And by the way, rule of thumb, anywhere between 30 and 40. I found that, I mean, that's a very acceptable size for this type of image. So 77 kilobytes, under 100 kilobytes is what you're shooting for. And quality of 40 is great. So if you find that when you upload it, it does not look as good as it should. You're going to want to have saved the PSD file where you could export it again at a higher quality. And then there's a secondary program, tinypng.com, and you can upload it even though it's not a PNG, it's a JPEG. You can reduce that file size even more and without any loss. So I'm going to hit save for now, and it's going to save this as a JPEG. Navigate to where you want it, and now you have back your layered file, and if you hit X, you can save this or not save it. Now you end up with a lot of files if you have 5 or 6 posts, I'm sorry, 5 or 6 images per post, and you've got, you post several times a week, you're going to have a lot of backup files. So for now, I'm going to save it, and it saves it as a PSD file. So if you ever want to export that again at a higher resolution, you can do that. So now I've shown you how to keep your watermark in as a brush that you can drop in at any time in any color. You never have to do that again. If you have any questions, join my free WordPress community and ask your questions there, or leave a message under this video. Take care and happy blogging.